Hello, welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing podcast, where we are previewing the first 2 days of the Welcome to Yorkshire Ebor Festival. It's set to be a fantastic 4 days up on the Knavesmire, and the 2 days have got some stars on offer, as do we, Jane Mangan and Declan Rix. Jane, you're on board for the first time. Welcome.
All very exciting, Tom. And to be alluded to as a star, I think we're off to the perfect start.
Yeah, quite right too. And we've already pointed out that Declan's in a sauna or a shed.
Yeah, more of a shed because I'm a troll sometimes, so it probably suits me better.
You're just hiding, aren't you? You've got into hiding.
Yes, gone into hiding.
So we're a three-runner race. We're going to start with the Thursday of the Welcome to Yorkshire Ebor Festival. Then we're going to go back to the Wednesday. We'll do our usual best bets off the back of each day. If you are watching this thinking, I want Wednesday now, give me Wednesday, then skip on to about halfway through where we are at the moment and skip on to halfway, because that's when we're going through all the Wednesday action. So we're going to start with Thursday and what is a four-runner Yorkshire Oaks with Enable sat pretty at the top. But, Jane, I'd hazard a guess that John Gosden thought when he said we're just going to go for the Yorkshire Oaks instead of the Juddmonte International, he'd have thought it might be an easier contest because Aidan O'Brien's made it interesting at least, hasn't he?
Well, thank God for Magical, because I can't imagine Latidar or South Sea Pearl will be troubling Enable. And if they do, you have to be seriously disappointed. It's somewhat reminiscent of See the Stars when he ran in the Juddmonte, and it was just himself and Master Craftsman, basically a match race. Now, to be fair, on all known form, Enable should go and win this, but at the odds, she's just not a betting prospect. So could she get beaten? The Eclipse form, there isn't much between them, and even less between them on the Breeders' Cup mare last year. So I am Enable's biggest fan. I don't see her getting beaten, but I just think tactics will be interesting from a forerunner perspective. You just don't want it to be messy. Enable sees a mile and a half out really strong. Look, it's hard to get really excited about it. I have my flight booked to Paris from last year because I just want to see history. So regardless of how Enable goes about it, I want her to have, and I think this is probably the perfect stepping stone to Paris. You don't want her to get a grueler because she's had a couple of real hard races this year, Crystal Oceans, one in particular. But she should go and win this, but Magical will just keep her on it.
Yeah, I think I can have a bet in this, and I think I can approach it by quite simply laying Enable. Not that I want to get a beat, and it feels awful doing that, but John Gosden sent Tagruda here for this race, and I know he did it a couple of years ago with Enable, and she won, and she went onto the Arc, and she'd come off the back of the King George, and that's fine. But he sent Tagruda here. I think she was fives on when she got turned over by Tapestry. Golden Horn came to York and got beaten en route to winning his Arc de Triomphe. And I don't know, this can be a funny place for shorties, York, and it is not about today. Nobody's going to look back and think, oh, you remember that time Enable got beaten in a four-runner Oaks, Yorkshire Oaks, if she goes on and wins her third Arc, her record-breaking Arc. So for me at 1.29, and I know what you mean, I can only see one filly beating her in the form of Magical. For all I liked Latidar this year, she has a huge mountain to climb, but funny things can happen, and I'm willing to play that a funny thing happens at 1.29 personally. Not huge, and it's not an out and out she's going to get beat, take her on. But at those odds, if you want to have a bit of an interest, that's personally how I'd play it. I'd hit that pink button deck and just see what happens. As much as I'd love to welcome her back into the winners' enclosure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd be a lot more positive on Enable, to be honest, because I think the times when her and Magical have faced each other, I think that the form has flattered Magical, to be honest, for the simple reason I don't think Enable was at the very top of her game in the Breeders' Cup turf. She backed up relatively quickly off a big run in the Arc where she clearly wasn't right. We've never seen Enable kind of legless late, but she was really slowing down and looked to be getting mowed down by Sea of Class. Just clearly in need of the run, and she wasn't at her best. In the Eclipse then at Sandown, Enable was making her seasonal debut. Magical had plenty good runs under the board. And I've always thought Enable is a better 12 furlong filly. To be fair, I think the same is about Magical. But for me, I think the roles are actually going to be reversed here. Reading in between the lines of what Aidan O'Brien's been saying about Magical, it sounds like she's had a good break. She hasn't run in 47 days. And I just wonder, are they using this as a stepping stone to the Champion Stakes? The Ballydoyle, boys, the lads as they are affectionately known, they love everything Irish racing. They support Irish racing so good. And for me, I think this run has been all set up for Magical to peak maybe in the Irish Champions and go on to the Arc later in the season as well. So the way I would actually approach this race is I'd be looking at Lati Dar without Enable as a potential bet, because I think Magical is overrated for me because she got so close to Enable in last year's Breeders' Cup. I think that her rating of 122, that's fundamentally, I think, where that come from. So I think if there's a chance that Magical can maybe run to 116, 115 over this trip off the back of a break, I think a hard fit Lati Dar, who's got course and distance form, might give her a run at the prices.
And that's effectively for you. They're playing for second in your mind. I mean, nothing beats Enable.
Yeah. No, I don't think anything beats Enable now.
To confirm, I'm not out and out taking this filly on, and I'm not saying she's going to go and get beat. But at where she is at the moment,
yeah,
give history of which horses have come unstuck at this meeting before en route to something bigger, I could possibly be against. Jane, have you got anything to add to that? You don't have to at all, because time isn't with us necessarily.
Well, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 in the numerical order that they're in. Enable will beat Magical, Lati Dar finish third, and South Sea Pearl will get it.
I love it.
Simple as that.
Simple. I love it. Right, so that is the feature race, and obviously there's only 4 runners in there. There's more in the Sky Bet Lowther, which kicks off the day, or is earlier on the day, and there's the first group race on the Thursday. I think it looks a strong one. You've got Liberty Beach in there at 2.88, Under the Stars in there at 5, Wedge Down at 7.5, Living in the Past and Precious Moments start to make things look a little bit bigger. Kick off with Liberty Beach. I think she's very special, and she is unbeaten if you look at the fact she won her side at Royal Ascot. So I think there's something in that. She was exceptional, I thought, at Goodwood. She was frightening when she got trapped and then still sprung clear in the last furlong. I think 6 will be absolutely fine. And there we are. I've laid Enable, and I'm saying that the 2.88 juvenile won't get beat, Dave. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. The reason I don't know is it's very simple for me. I think it's the trip. It's going to be our first go at 6 furlongs. I kind of went back and watched the races there the last few days, and I actually forgot how strong she travels, and she really does go like a 5 furlong horse. I was actually a bit worried at Goodwood that the track might be a little bit too quick for her, but look at it. She travelled well again, and as you've already alluded to, she had to be pretty brave to come through there because she had a fairly rotten passage. And sometimes we can see with these young horses, maybe especially fillies, they can down tools when they run into kind of negativity like that. But she was brave and she got the job done. I just think the trip, I think if this was over 5, I think she deserved to be the price she is, maybe a little bit shorter. Over 6, I just think there's enough in the way that she travels, going up in class and going up in trip, that I think at the prices I'm happy to take her on.
With anything in particular?
No, I think the Ascot form of Under the Stars and Living in the Past, they've got a bit to find, but I just think the trip might be an equaliser. They look like 6 furlong fillies. Under the Star, I was actually at Ascot that day, and I was actually taken by Under the Stars in the parade ring. I thought she just looked like a sprinting filly that could kind of keep on getting better. When she won at 25-1, and I didn't have a penny on, that was a lovely kick in the stones to start the meeting, because I think that was the first race But I've never been known as a paddock judge anyway, so I couldn't crib too much. But actually, she was a nice looking filly. I thought PJ McDonald gave her a cracking ride that day. Typically perfect Ascot straight track ride where you get loads of cover, a lead, and just do all your running at the end. I just thought the price difference between her and Living in the Past, considering I think there was about 3/4 of a length between them, I thought that was too much. And I just think at the prices, it's a different track. It's going to be quicker ground. I thought Carl Burke's Living in the Past could maybe reverse that form. She's a nice filly herself, a filly by Bungle in the Jungle. What I kind of noticed really about her at Ascot is she's such a fluent mover, and I could see the firmer ground and the flat track at York really suiting her better. So I think at the price, I think I'd rather be kind of playing Living in the Past in this race. But definitely one I'm happy to take on the Fav.
I always appreciate a bit of after timing, and some paddock judge after timing in particular is very nice. I like that. And we rarely agree on things, and we don't agree on this filly at the top either. And you're always right over me, which is a worry. Jane, can you help me out in any way? Where are you as far as the 2.88 about Liberty Beach goes?
Well, I thought Declan was completely going to steal my thunder because we have a mutual idea as the fact of trip. I do think Liberty Beach is fast, and whether she gets the 6, it'll be very interesting. For me, she's just too short, and I'm going to have to take her on. So then Declan picks Under the Stars, who I also really like, but then concludes that he's actually going to take Living in the Past. So thank God he veered off left, because I'm a big fan of Under the Stars. She's been very good. The only obviously a lot of these fillies are unexposed, and that's the beauty of the Lowther, because something could just announce themselves as a star. But to be fair, on her 2 starts to date Under the Stars, she's been very good. And I thought the Princess Margaret was quite strong this year. And she travelled and went through the race for a filly that had only had the 1 start, like a filly that's going to come forward again. James Tate, good winner again last night, and she's got good vibes Living the Past behind her. She'll be obviously some romance was disappointing, but I just thought that was a good renewal of the race. She gets a strong 6, and just at the prices, I think she's a value against the favourite.
You mentioned good vibes there. She's just a filly I wanted to mention. She's out there nearly second from bottom in the betting, about 19.0. I do think she's better than that. I'm slightly concerned about the trip, because when she's tried it before, of course, she fought for a head and she went forward, and that doesn't suit her in any way. And then last time she got absolutely trapped and no run whatsoever. But she's just gone off the boil a bit since she won the Marygate here, when she looked really good, and when David Evans said she's the best he's ever trained, he's had some good juvenile fillies in the past. I thought she was a big price, for all that I know she's got a few to reverse form with, but I can see myself on the day, for all I really like Liberty Beach, I could see myself chucking a few quid behind Good Vibes as well. Feel free to add or take away from any of that, gang.
I've been disappointed by her. I thought she was going to go on. So until she goes and does it now, I'm not going to continue to burn my fingers with her,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The trick, she needs to settle off this pace rather than go forward and fight for a head over 6. I'm not convinced, but I think that price is tempting me in. Dec, any final thoughts?
No, just kind of the vibes about Good Vibes were pretty good. I remember going into Royal Ascot, didn't she miss the meeting through a small setback?
Yeah, she did.
So yeah, I suppose you never going to get a price about her. I suppose at Ascot you probably would have only been get maybe 6 or 7 or 8 to 1, kind of, given she went there on the back of a Marygate win. So I suppose price is everything, isn't it? And as you say, she's second last in the betting there today. So yeah, we'll see what goes. But as I said, I'm gonna stick with the Carl Burke filly.
At 12.0, Jane thinks Under the Stars 5.0, Liberty Beach is 2.88, and I'm siding with a fav that the 2 judges I've got on board are against, so I'm now worried. I'm backtracking quickly. As far as any other business or any other horse we want to back on the day goes, Jane, you get to go up first, so we chuck you straight in there. What do we think with any other races we've got? We've got some competitive handicaps on there. We've got a big sales race as well, which I don't think looks easy by any stretch. But what else did you want to mention on Thursday at York?
Well, if you want to burn your reputation, tip a horse in a sales race, because that always goes well. Uh, I do. I'm actually going to pick an obvious enough one in the Galtres, the Sir Henry Cecil Galtres Stakes. I'm sure Frosty caught everybody's eye in the Hurry Harriet last week behind Goddess. She was hard off the bridle at the top of the straight and gore and 3 furlongs out. I thought this filly, we hadn't seen her since last year. I thought she was going to disgrace herself. And in the last furlong, it was as if she sprouted wings. Now that was over 9 furlongs. I think the step up to 1.5 miles, obviously it's a big step up, but it's something that her pedigree suggests shouldn't be a problem. And I think on only her second start of the year, only the 4th start of her life, this filly's open to an awful lot of improvement. And I think she had a massive reputation last year. She's obviously been quite fragile and difficult to train. But now this, having run at Gorn, she should be 100% right. And I don't think they'd travel her, having had the problems that she's had. I don't think they'd travel her unless she was 100%. So she's the less exposed, or the least exposed in the Galtres. Got to take on the likes of Frankelina and such, but I think she is an interesting filly against the field.
I'm asking you to play bookmaker now, Jane, because I can't find any prices for it. But given everything you've said and what she's up against, would you not expect her to be towards the top of that betting? Or I know connections dictate that she's going to.
I don't think she'll be favoured. Nothing of what she's done would merit her to be at the top of the market. It's just purely on her respective connections. But look, I'm not going to play bookmaker. But whatever she is, she shouldn't be favoured. But she should be 3 or 4 or 5 to 1. And I think she just could be a class act in a listed field.
Yeah, the point being that there's others in there who have probably achieved more or shown a bit more so far and might go off ahead of her in the betting, which could make her a half interesting price as well. That's in the 4:15. There's the Henry Cecil Galtres Stakes. Frosty with Ryan Moore aboard for Aidan O'Brien. Dec, where are you looking on Thursday at York?
I suppose there's only kind of 6 races in there. We've already covered 2, and I've kind of those York kind of sprint handicaps generally give me nightmares. So I'm actually going to stick in the Sir Henry Cecil race as well. Look, I thought Frankelina would be tough to beat here. I've liked this filly. What are you laughing at now?
Unbelievable. He's got the pick of all the other races.
we probably should have had a team meeting beforehand maybe, but there you go. But yeah, look, I like Frankelina. I think if you get maybe 2 to 1 or bigger about this filly, I think she'd probably be a bet. This is a drop down in class for her. She ran well over this at this track in the Musadora earlier in the season. Then she acquitted herself quite well in the where I thought kind of a big, long, rangy filly. I thought the track would maybe be a little bit of a worry for her. Then I thought the ground was simply too soft for her in the Ribblesdale, and the trip and the ground and the lack of pace probably got her beat her at York the last time. She drops in class. She goes back up to 12 furlongs on likely quicker ground. The William Haggis stable are in decent order as well. And I think as long as there's a half decent gallop on here, I'm hoping she can get home and get her head in front.
And I am going to look at a different race because I'm not going to take the 2 of you on, and look at the mile handicap, the Clipper Logistics handicap, and I'm going to stick up Bless Him, who is still fairly treated based upon that win which came a long time ago at Royal Ascot in 2017 in the Britannia. Reappeared over this course and distance at York and was keeping on and looked as though I thought he needed it. Chelmsford was unlucky, didn't work out. Windsor, there's a theme with this horse, and he is a fast way at the poor school because he does get unlucky. But then last time at Goodwood was dropped out and never involved. I don't think that track suits. He's well treated, and there is a bit of pace on here. And at 21.0, I think could be half interesting. With Jamie Spencer back on, he interests me. Right, it's best bets time. So we'll give you our best bets on the day. Can be from either of the group races or one of the others we've mentioned, and we'll just give you a very brief description of why. So best bets wise. Dec, first of you, who's your best bet for Thursday at York?
Best bet for Thursday at York, I think I like Latidar without Enable, because I think there's a real chance that Magical is going to be out here for a a lung opener and getting her primed for Irish Champions Weekend. So I just think a hard fit Lati there over this trip can give an under the par magical race, and you're probably going to get a decent price in what essentially is a 3-runner race.
Mine is going to be bless him, because it's 21.0, and if it doesn't go in, I don't look too stupid, but equally look like a hero if it does. I think he'll get the pacer set up for him. Jane, what do you think best bet for Thursday?
I'm under the stars in the Lowther. I was impressed with her at Ascot. I think she's a value against the favourite is unproven over the trip. There's a few question marks about her despite her very good form. So under the stars, open to more improvement, and hopefully she'll do that.
That is it for the Thursday action. Then we're going to move on to Wednesday, and we should be hopefully about halfway through if I've got my timings right. If not, I'm getting the sack. So Wednesday kicks off day one, or kicks off the whole festival as far as the Welcome to York Ebor Festival goes. It should be an absolute cracker as well, because we've got a Juddmonte International that, for all it doesn't feature Enable, Crystal Ocean is the star attraction on the day, and Sir Michael Stout's looking for trying to break his own record, 7th win in the race. However, Jane, I don't know what you think. I still have a bit of a hangover from last year, where I was very much Team Poet's Word coming into this, who I know subsequently it may have been proved he wasn't right on the day, but you have to look at the battle he'd had with Crystal Ocean prior in the King George and think perhaps it took quite a lot out of him. And therefore, with this horse sat pretty at the top of the betting, I think there's enough ammunition in behind with some of these exciting 3-year-olds for me to take him on. Where do you stand with Crystal Ocean, Jane?
Well, if the battle with Enable leaves its dent on Crystal Ocean, then it might have left its dent on the mare for the next day as well. But I'm a huge Crystal Ocean fan since he was second to Capri and beat Stradivarius in his St. Leger at Doncaster. I think this horse has been gradually brought to the boil and trained impeccably by Sir Michael Stout. I was impressed with him at Ascot. Now, at the same time, it wasn't the strongest Group 1, I think, ever run. And he went down like a warrior to Enable. He's the heavyweight that the 3-year-olds have to aspire to. And when, obviously, the 3-year-old generation met the olders in the King George, they were left with mud in their face. And I think Japan is the real interesting horse for me. Dropping back to 10 furlongs, who knows? Like, it's all speculation. He hasn't raced shorter than a mile and a half since he won the Beresford as a 2-year-old. He looks to me like a real out-and-out mile-and-a-half horse. Thought he'd be heading to Paris, and he might still be heading to Paris at the end of the year. I do expect King of Comedy to reverse the form of Circus Maximus from Royal Ascot. I just think Circus Maximus had the run of the race, got first run. Everybody was looking at too darn hot, and here comes King of Comedy, having been ridden really patiently and made up a lot of ground on rain softened ground. I think he's the likely improver, deserves to be second favourite. And if I was to take on Crystal Ocean, it would probably be with King of Comedy, purely because I'm not sure Japan over 10 furlongs, whether it'll be too sharp for him. What will I actually pick in the race? I won't oppose Crystal Ocean. I won't, because I know ratings and the world rankings and all that crap. To be honest, he has the best form, and he has consistently proven himself at the highest level, despite only winning one Group 1.
You referenced those ratings, which are interesting because, of course, he gave Enable £3, and the handicapper came out and said, "Look, that was spot on, wasn't it?" Because of the difference between them. It's hard to argue that Enable shouldn't be rated higher than him. But hey, that's where we are, and he's a mighty horse who. I remember when he ran in the Dante, and Sir Michael Stout was going, "What's all this Derby chat about this horse? We're way off that." And he was right, but he was just 2 years right, because that's how he approaches it. And now you'd look and think, goodness me, he'd have won Derby over the years because of just how good he's become. But that's the age thing with him. He's 2.1. King of Comedy is 5.0. Japan is 7.0. And then Circus Maximus 12s, and bigger beyond that. Fire away, Deck, because I'm sitting on the fence for now.
Yeah, look, I think first of all, I'd like to say Jane Mangan's another one to go on the list that's not a fan of Crystal Ocean. What more? What more? Never mind the world rankings. Come on.
I thought she was quite positive about it.
Yeah, I know, but then she was like the world rankings and this crap. I was like, just the word crap kind of got me, I think.
But it is bogus. Like,
Look,
don't even start this because we'll be here all day.
I'm only pulling your leg. Look, Chris Lotion, he's officially he's the best horse in the world. I just don't understand why, not necessarily Jane, but just loads of people cannot take him kind of into their heart. I think it's because he's come up against Enable, and like, you know, she really is the darling of the world of horse racing at the moment. There's no doubt about that. Look, Chris Lotion is a proper horse for me. He's just, all he's done throughout his career is get better. He's so straightforward. You put him anywhere in the race, he always runs his race, always consistent and classy. So, look, I couldn't put anyone off. I think, to be honest, I think in terms of just raw ability and form, I think he should probably be odds on. But kind of backing horse is not something I generally do. And look, he had a real lungbuster at Ascot and the King George, and you just wonder, could that leave a mark? Look, I've no doubt if Sir Michael Stout and his team are sending him here, everything he's done in the interim has been good. But, you know, in reality, how much are they going to do with a horse who's run that big in since the race? So look, I couldn't really put anyone off Crystal Ocean, but the worries for me about the mark leaving the race leaving a mark and coming back in trip to what's essentially an extended 10 furlongs on quicker ground, it's just, there's enough there to suggest that we can take him on. King of Comedy, I think, is the second favourite. He's stepping up in trip. I was kind of looking at his striding data, which obviously Simon Rowlands does a lot of work for us on the attheraces.com website. And he kind of just in average strides, he actually strides like a 7 furlong miler. So he's by Kingman. He's from a relatively quick and classy family. I wonder about the trip. Could he just be gasping for air a little bit late? And I just look at the prices, and I kind of look at Circus Maximus, and I go, wow, you're nearly 2 times bigger the price than a horse you've beaten in the St. James's Palace Stakes. Now, Jane's already alluded to that he had the run of the race that day, and kind of, I think, sectional upgrading and stuff like that would suggest King of Comedy is a better horse. But that was over a mile. Is he going to be as good over 10 furlongs, a trip that Circus Maximus has already won over, should I say? So I just think the blinkers, since they've gone on after Chester, have really lit this horse up. He's a different horse now. He's a much classier horse. He's lazy, and I kind of like those lazy types. They save a bit for themselves. And I've always thought 10 furlongs would be the best trip for Circus Maximus. I couldn't have him in the St. James's Palace Stakes. I was like, he's not going to be quick enough. No way. Then he goes and wins. So I think now coming back to 10 furlongs could be his ideal trip. I think he's probably the value bet. But I think probably if you're the real race way I'm going to play this, I'm going to back him each way without Crystal Ocean. Because if Crystal Ocean runs his race, he simply wins. Simple as that.
He's currently 12.0 Circus Maximus, and worth looking at the place market for him when it's fully formed. Crystal Ocean 2.1. I'd echo the comments that I couldn't back him at that, but I certainly could see him winning. But I do wonder how much it's taken out of him that race last time. I think this is probably his perfect trip. Just on King of Comedy, the other thing I'd mention is he is a bit of a lunatic, and that walk across the Knavesmire can sometimes flummox horses who are quite hyper and have that temperament. So I don't know how he'll behave at York. I'm interested to see. The last horse I mentioned,
that's a great point, Tom.
Regal Reality, fits into that bracket as well. He's a lunatic. He's the only horse I've ever seen come out onto the track with a man's jacket on his head, which is what they had to do at to actually get him out onto the track. However, he's 41.0, and he was only 2.5 lengths in the Eclipse behind Enable. And last time the problem was at York, and I wonder if York got to him again, that walkover. So I'll just keep waffling and not put any horse up. There we go. That's my thoughts on the international.
Interesting on that one though, Tom, before we move on. If you go back to the ratings, Jan, on official ratings, Regal Reality is actually the second highest behind Crystal Ocean, which is amazing considering he hasn't Group 1 to his name, and not nearly to his name, to be quite honest. So if the handicapper is to be believed, Chris Lotion has to give the 3-year-old £7. And Regal Reality, he is a 4-year-old, but he's raised 120. So maybe there's something in that, but I'll have to see it before I believe it.
Yeah, he was so disappointing last time, but the ground was soft at York, and there's the York factor there, but he might be better having another go there. He's the one at the price that I go, right, interesting. And I agree with your comments on Japan. I think he could turn out to be the 3-year-old in the Arc. Japan had never won an Arc, but Japan might win it, and we might go, oh wow, this was the 3-year-old. But over this trip, I'm holding off. We have got only a few minutes to preview the Sky Bet Great Voltager, which takes place at 3 o'clock. We've got just a 5-runner field for it. Logician looks very exciting. He's 2.1. Constantinople, who didn't have the best trip at Goodwood, 3.25 in the race won by Naif Road, who's 8, and it's bigger and beyond. Deck, quick thoughts on the Great Voltager?
Yeah, I'll save you time on this. The market should be the complete opposite way around between Constantinople and Logician for me. Logician won a handicap the last day off 90. He's coming in here against a horse who was second in the Gordon Stakes, carrying a penalty. I backed Constantinople for the Ledger last week at 12s. I'm hoping he goes on and wins here and he can get the job then done on Town Moor. I just think that market it should be the other way around. He's not a completely straightforward horse. I think Ryan Moore got it very wrong the last day riding him at Goodwood. He shouldn't have gone and made the running with him. He took it up a long way out. He's a horse who wants a lead and he wants cover. And if he gets that today, I think he can win here. There was a little bit of a kink to him, a touch of a lunatic, we needed the straight jacket from the last day at Goodwood. But I think riding him with the strength could be the key to him, and I'm hoping Ryan Moore can do that today.
Yawn alert, I'm going to agree that the Constantinople at 3.25, based upon he just didn't get the run of the race last time at a track which may have been too sharp for him anyway, or a bit too tight for him. I think this will suit much better, and I think if Ryan Moore had his time again, I think he might have tried to make things pan out differently. But there you go, it's Goodwood. But I think he was unlucky's probably too strong, but he just didn't get the best trip and was beaten on that occasion. I think I'd want to side with him over Logician, who's very exciting, but this is a big step up for him. Jane, what do you think?
I'm going to echo everybody's thoughts. Unfortunately, it's going to be very boring for everybody. I think Constantinople, if you go back to when he won the Gallimule at the Curragh, he was delivered very late to beat Buckhurst, who is a good horse. And we saw him win the Royal Whip at the Curragh last Friday. Constantinople, I think, has ample ability, but I wouldn't call him ungenuine. I'd call him awkward. He's a very big horse, and he's taken an awful lot of time to get himself organised, and he doesn't need to be facing into the open expanse of York anytime soon. So Ryan will have to just get a lead for as long as possible. I think Logician is the improver, could be anything, but will have to be something to beat Constantinople, who I think at 12-1 for the St. Ledger, Declan Rix planned something there.
What a big yawn fest that is, but I love it. I love it. We've got to all agree with some things. Shotgun, I can have him as my best bet when we get to best bets. Right. One more. Actually, I won't, because I'm gonna give it to this horse, Infrastructure, who steps up to 2 miles on the day. I've been banging on about this horse all year. He finally came good at Chester when he opened up outsider of the field crazily, and then went off second favourite. He steps up in trip from last time where he ran at the July course. He tried to make up ground. You can't do it there anyway, and he certainly couldn't. 2 miles is going to be the making of him. He is round about, I think he's about 9.0 at the moment. That might be exaggerating slightly. But he's very exciting, and I think he's going to win. I love this horse. I think he's still well treated. So Infrastructure, who runs over 2 miles for the first time. Deck, where else are you looking on the day?
I'm going to take a massive wild swing for the fences in the last race at York. The 6 furlong nurseries. I've already said these straight track 6 furlong and 5 furlong big field races at York usually give me nightmares. But there's a horse of Tom Dascombe's in there called Mr. Jones and Me, and I think you're going to get 25s plus about this horse. a son of Bated Breath, a son of Brazen Bow, the crack Australian sprinter who came up to this neck of the woods not too long ago, ran the cracker in the Diamond Jubilee, and then was below par in the July Cup. Tom Dascombe's horse made a lovely debut in a big field 6 furlong race at Doncaster on decent ground, and has subsequently run at York and at Chester on ground. I think that was way too soft for it. First time in a handicap, getting back on quick ground. I'm hoping a massive shot could be pulled off here. I just think it's worth a swing if the ground is what's been holding it back, and if the ground is what's been holding it back, it could be well handicapped with that good little pilot Jane Elliott, who is a decent rider for her £3 as well. Tom Dascombe also won this race 2 years ago.
48.0 for Mr. Jones and me. Second from bottom in the betting. Look out.
Good grief. We'll be singing Mr. Jones if that wins.
Infrastructure is 9.0, I can confirm. Jane, where else are we looking?
I'm looking to the 2-year-olds again. The Acom, Vitology. Only saw him once, and it was at Naas. I love Naas as a test of any horse, and it was as if he didn't really know his business until Shane Cross got him out, got him running in space, because the last half furlong, he quickened up that hill very impressively for a horse on debut. Son of None Ever, who is conquering all before him at the moment. And it's Joseph O'Brien is having a wonderful season here in Ireland. He could have taken any amount of 2-year-olds across, but he just nominated to take this guy. On the day, he beat Harper Crace, who he opposes, but he beat Aramore as well, of Jim Bulgers, who's come out and won well since. So I think the form is working out well. Josephs do tend to improve for a run while also being professional enough to win on debut. I think he's a horse that could fit in under the could be anything bracket, and because a lot of these horses they're unexposed and this and that, the only Irish horse going over Harper Crace goes as well, but I like Vitology. He needed every yard of the 6 at Naas. That would have been a very strong 6 the way the race was run. I think 7 will be right up his street.
He's around about 6.0 for that Tatzel's Acom Stakes. Tatzel's Acom Stakes. Yes, it is. Phew. Good stuff. Right, we need some best bets. I'll happily kick off with those. So my best bet for Wednesday at York is Infrastructure, who steps up to 2 miles for the first time, and I've banged on about this horse all year. Jane, best bet for Wednesday?
Constantinople, Great Voltigeur. Thank you very much.
God damn you, Jane Mangan. God damn you.
Great mind.
Who's yours?
Look, I'd be pretty sweet on Constantinople as well. But look, I've already given a horse at a big price there. I think I actually quite like him, and I don't know why, because you should never like a horse that's in a 22-runner juvenile handicap. But we'll see. But yeah, I think if I had to go one, I'd go to Turkey and give it to Constantinople.
But you can't, because Jane's second that. So it's Mr. Jones and me for deck at a massive 48.0. Love it. Great stuff, gang. That's it for our days 1 and 2 preview of the Welcome to Yorkshire Ebor Festival. Days 3 and 4 won't be too far away. Jane, thank you. Deck, thank you. We'll chat again soon. Bye for now.